President Trump met today with top Justice Department officials after demanding they investigate whether the FBI infiltrated his 2016 campaign. FBI Director Chris Wray and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein attended the White House meeting. The Justice Department has also asked its internal watchdog to examine the president's claims. We'll have a detailed look at all of this after the news summary. Gina Haspel was officially sworn in today as director of the Central Intelligence Agency. President Trump attended the ceremony at CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. Vice President Mike Pence gave the oath of office to Haspel, who becomes the first woman to lead the agency.
I would not be standing before you today if not for the remarkable courage and dedication displayed by generations of OSS and agency women in roles both large and small, who challenged stereotypes, broke down barriers, and opened doors for the rest of us.
The Senate voted to confirm Haspel last week. That vote followed a tense debate over her role in the use of harsh interrogations, later deemed to be torture, and in the destruction of interrogation tapes. Texas held a statewide moment of silence today for those killed and wounded in Friday's school shooting. Outside Santa Fe High, students and staff gathered around 10 white crosses, one for each person who died in the attack. Support dogs sat alongside survivors who hugged and cried during the ceremony. In Syria, the military declared the capital city of Damascus and its surroundings free of Islamic State militants for the first time in 7 years. State TV showed troops waving Syrian flags surrounded by destroyed buildings. The celebration came after the army retook the last ISIS strongholds in a month-long campaign. The president of Venezuela faced widespread condemnation today after winning re-election in a disputed vote. Officials announced socialist leader Nicolas Maduro took 68% of Sunday's tally, but the opposition charged widespread fraud. At a rally last night, Maduro dismissed the claims, and he again blamed U.S. sanctions for his country's economic crisis.
We make a big effort for this country, pestered, attacked by the American empire. Thank you for overcoming so many aggressions, so many lies. Thank you for joining me in so many battles, and thanks for making me president.
A number of Latin American nations also refused to recognize the election results. In Washington, Vice President Pence called the election a sham and threatened more sanctions. Ebola vaccinations began today in the Democratic Republic of Congo as the death toll rose to 27. This latest outbreak has now reached the northwest city of Mbakana since first appearing in April. The World Health Organization hailed the experimental vaccine as a paradigm shift in fighting the disease. Ebola killed more than 11,000 people in West Africa between 2013 and 2016. President Trump is touting a kind of trade truce with China. The two nations say they've agreed to put tariff threats on hold while they try to finish a potential deal. Mr. Trump tweeted today that the Chinese, quote, will purchase from our great American farmers practically as much as our farmers can produce. Chinese officials said they too want a deal, but they warned it may not put an end to tensions.
In the short term, we believe that once the Chinese and U.S. governments reach a good agreement, both governments should honor such an agreement. But it is hard to guarantee that there would be no new frictions, new disputes, or new divergence of views between the two sides.
U.S. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross will travel to China next week, hoping to finalize a trade agreement. The prospect of progress in that China trade talks went over well on Wall Street. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained nearly 300 points to close at 25,013. The Nasdaq rose 39 points, and the S&P 500 added 20. And Richard Goodwin, former speechwriter for Presidents Kennedy and Johnson, has died. His wife, historian Doris Kearns Goodwin, says he passed away at his home last night after a brief bout with cancer. Richard Goodwin was one of the youngest members of Kennedy's inner circle and later worked on some of Johnson's major domestic initiatives. He was 86 years old. Still to come on the NewsHour, the political and legal ramifications of the president's claims that an FBI spy infiltrated his campaign, a Supreme Court ruling making it more difficult to sue your employer, the Secretary of State's threat to impose the strongest sanctions in history on Iran, and more.